Crypto market is still under $1.3 trillion. And we have a red start of this day. In the sense, we just got the daily, weekly candle close and the next candles are starting to open up. And it shows you the fact that the market is slowing down. The market is still inside that correction. So when the market actually shows you something, I would say don't go against it. When the market really highlight the fact that I'm doing the exact same thing, maybe at a different scale, don't go against that, because the market does rhyme if it's not repeating. I don't know how to use that word, but it does look like at least it's close to what it has done before. We had these triangles, and not every one of us like triangles when it is in XRP, and historically this asset follows the exact same pattern. So we know the fact that a lot of different things, you can do the analysis based on trends, patterns, price structure, wave structure, Elliott waves, you are focusing on that side, or the Wyckoff side on the other end. You are looking for what the market may possibly do. Let it be the short-term move, let it be the macro move. The market kind of shows you some things, right? Yesterday, we had the thought process, okay, we're going to come back down and we're going to test this range and bounce and again test this level of resistance. So right now, we see the fact that we are slowly starting to bounce off, but we haven't yet broken the moving average. So we can still get rejected for sure. We can still get rejected. Now, same is happening on a short-term narrative for XRP. You bounced off, you came back, you retested this level, you're testing the moving average. So as of now, while you look for the macro perspective, you do have to understand the market is not lying to you. So when this happened last time, now we have to sit there and understand what are the factors which is differing from that last time and this time. So we have a better understanding. Let it be for the Ether and the altcoin market, or it's about Bitcoin. You can put both of them into perspective and you can factor that in. So you now have a better understanding of that, what that asset is doing. Here we are looking at H bar, and it kind of gives you the macro wave structure formation. It kind of gives you the short-term wave, which is the microwave inside that macro wave structure. The 1, 2, 3 impulse in that first wave structure. The 1, 2, 3 impulse in the next wave structure. So you actually get all of this in the market. So if we deny the fact that this is happening, now that is going to be strange. Now, we were literally going through a lot of these different assets and we are still going on through them, looking for what exactly the market is showing us. And it kind of amazes me that the market is really open and truthful about the fact that it is about to do something like this. It's about to repeat the history, and not all altcoins look similar. When you say XRP is following the exact same pattern which we have done in history, now it's on us. It's our job to understand what exactly that means. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Yes, right now, we are going through all this, but I would like to highlight this support. Thank you for all those guys who have been supporting this channel. We are now, this particular video which I'm making now is the 1000th one, which is great. Like, it's been a long time and you guys have been with me. Now, while we look at the market, we understand the fact that we go up, we come back down, we again go back up. Next time when you actually go back up, that's the second wave, which usually is way bigger than what it was in the wave 1 structure. So now here we are looking at the Ether, looking at the altcoin market and saying, if that is true, what we are waiting for in the altcoin market is a massive rally. 1. 2. Yes, when you get the moving average cross to the upside, to the direction of the short term actually is true. But first time it actually happens to be like you're crossing the moving average, but at that time the price come back down to test the moving average zone, and only if that holds, your trend is valid. Don't get confused. Let me explain. Here, it came back down, it didn't hold, it broke through. So the trend was not confirmed. Whereas the next time, when it actually went up, it retested that range as soon as it was about to cross to the upside, and that held. Now, there was a long wick to the downside, kicking all the highly leveraged trades out. Agreed, that happens in the market. Just before you actually take off, the market kind of reduces that load. Agreed, that happens in the market. But one of the facts we have to look at here is, okay, we are crossing to the upside on a weekly for the altcoins. So first thing, we are going to see price dropping to test the alt market into the range of moving average zone. On a weekly, you can actually get the idea, like, okay, it's not a major drop from where we are. It's kind of close to where we are right now because we have already dropped. And especially for XRP, while we actually put in the fact that we see this. So you're looking at history. Last time when it actually crossed to the downside, the 21 crossed to the downside, we got the price going against it first, testing the moving average zone, and then getting rejected to the downside. Great. Now, the next time when it did the opposite, you got the exact opposite reaction in the market, or that reaction from the market made this moving average basically. Now, if you actually factor into all these scenarios, like last 4 times when this happened, you actually saw that the market does something similar. So when it's actually crossing this time around, I would say, I would stay with the history, as we are all students of the market. We learn from the market and adapt to the situation. I would argue that, okay, we're going to come back to this range. We're going to hit that range and bounce off, which actually is a huge multiplier effect coming into the price action, because last time, if you notice the fact that the wave 1 and the wave 2 was way different, like what we just saw in the altcoin market, that exactly is the same thing which is shown by XRP. Imagine we actually have like, 2 ways to look for the market. We actually did this run up 10x in XRP in last structure after the retest. So if we imagine like, okay, if that's the case, this time around, I'm going to say that XRP is going to do way higher than what it did in the last one. Then I would put a perspective like, okay, maybe that's 20, maybe that's 30x. I really don't know, right? So what we usually do, one of the easiest part for us as investors, analysts in the market, what we can easily do is, okay, we go back and we are looking at what exactly happened in the market before that. You broke to the upside, you actually went up, say there was like a 4 to 5x in the market. That's a short-term move, short-term break. You actually did that. After which, when you actually broke that pattern, XRP literally went 80x. So instead of 4x turning into 40, that was 80. That's 20x of wave in this one. Now we come back here and ask us the same question like, okay, can that happen here? Because if that's coming into picture, now we are looking for sky high prices, which is really hard to even believe. So we are trying to factor in, okay, back then we didn't have the amount of supply in the circulating supply like now. We are right now around 55, 56 billion, right? Whereas back then it was like 30. So we kind of went a lot up, like 50% up in the volume. So we reduce, okay, that's 50% more volume in the market. So maybe not 20x, maybe 10x. But again, we also have the SEC case weighing on the market. And as we discussed in the group today, like from JP Morgan to UBS to Bank of Santander, or like a lot of banks are building on public blockchains right now. And you don't actually see XRP Ledger in that name because of what's happening with the regulatory clarity side. That means a lot of other projects, including Polygon, ETH, they are getting that range of adoption. So we are not. Now we factor that in and say like, okay, if not 20x or 10x, maybe 5x of wave 1 and wave 2 would be okay. Now we are going ultra conservative, right? You now factor that in and say, okay, that's like $20, close to that. I'm like, okay, we've been saying this for a very long time, and the market is still showing you the fact that it can still go up there. Can it be in wave 2? Can it be in wave 3? We really don't understand. But based on what we can see right now, I would argue that it is going to be in wave 2. The market actually does show you that narrative that it is about to do that. But one of the major issues is that these are all long-term price action scenarios which we discussed. Say, like we have discussed before, we are right now observing the fact that, okay, while we were saying we're going to come back down, we're going to bounce back up, we're going to come back down, that happened, right? While we say that it happened, we also understand the fact that, okay, while we do all these chartings and we kind of, save all these things, what we are looking for in the market, we kind of get the understanding easily like, okay, this is what our thought process was about the market, saying, okay, yes, I agree that the price is showing you I'm slowly bouncing, but we were definitely thinking like it's going to top off somewhere here and it's going to come back down. And right now, this is what the market has done. So back here, when the market was not doing great, we were saying, okay, we are looking for this possibility, because one of the things we have to understand is the RSI kind of showed us the way forward. And we just believed what the RSI told us to do. Because if actually you watch, that RSI kind of guides you the way throughout for most of the scenario, you can now argue the fact that, okay, let me be clear, if that's what RSI is showing me, I'll stick with it. Now, what has changed? Because back here, we really don't know when the price reaches a support, will RSI reach a support, or the opposite. When RSI reaches support, will the price reach a support? Because the major support here was close to 0.42 towards 0.44. Now here we are, the bottom which we put in was 0.44, and the interesting fact is, look at the RSI right now. We just plotted that trend line because we strongly believe in trend lines. We understand the fact that the RSI came back to exact same level and bounced off. If that's true, that means, okay, RSI is kind of suggesting you that the price is reaching a support point. Now, why am I saying that? Now, let's put price and the RSI face to face and put our argument. Last time when you did this first long, great wick to the downside, the price showed you I hit the bottom, or at least 99% close to that. That was the case. So as the price was dropping. Before that was the case where the price didn't actually bottom, but the RSI suggested like it is bottoming. So you started getting a divergence. And if you go all the way back to June 2022, we were highlighting the fact that we are about to slowly consolidate and move higher. Why? Because the RSI was showing us the same exact fact. Now here we are looking at the market saying like, okay, the RSI just came back down to the moving average, or somewhat close to it, right? If you actually put this in a way you're only touching the bottoms and others are standard deviations to the upside, now you can actually put the argument like, okay, this is somewhere close, exactly close. If we put another leg down, it is still going to be in the support zone, and we see the price coming back to where we discussed that. But the key question which I would ask you is like, if this is the scenario, like we test the support and bounce off, are you really looking for that bottom picking chance so that you can buy maybe 5% more of the units, maybe 10% more of the units? Because if you have been accumulating this asset for like last 3-4 years, now even if you are putting in more liquidity, most likely it's going to be 5 to 10% of your existing portfolio. So even if it is averaging down, that may not actually matter heavily, right? It's a small percent difference, which we'll actually see in the price action. So compared to whether missing the opportunity or trying to pick the bottom, you'll have to choose what the market suggests you. And that's one of the reasons why it is better to first go through what these assets are doing on an individual level to multiple analyses. So now you get the idea like, okay, in one, I'm watching that the market is basing its thought process on this is the support. Great. And in another one, it shows, okay, the support is a little bit above that. Great. Now we are like, okay, that's the range I'm looking for the price to come in. And that is exactly what we have done here. And right now we watch that the market came to that range, inside that range, and slowly bounced. Now, we erase all of this and we go back into pure price action, saying like, okay, what the hell is the market doing? I'm like, we just got a 3 soldiers to the downside, strong movement to the downside, right? And historically speaking, XRP does exactly that in the wave 3 leg of that correction. So you do the A, you do the B, and you do the C. And this is exactly how the C leg of XRP correction looks like. Say you go back in history, wherever you want to go, and you actually see like, okay, wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, boom, you come back down. In that correction, you again notice A, B, and C. So the short-term leg was done here. The macro was done here, right? Now you go for the long-term view, and it was going all the way back down till this point, right? So now, again, going back just to remind the macro perspective, most of the altcoins may actually retest the bottom. I wouldn't debate that scenario. But few of them, like XRP, shows us the fact that it is not most likely going to do that. It is most likely going to go to the upside. Now, what's the difference between Ether in the last cycle and this cycle? You are crossing to the upside already. The short-term moving average is crossing the long-term moving average to the upside right now. And that's the first time. Last time it did the first time, you got a fake out. You tested the moving average and came back down. But remember the fact that that was the first retest of that zone. Whereas here, the first retest already happened way faster than last time. And that's one of the reasons why you're getting the first cross here when you're testing that range the second time at the end of the Adam and Eve pattern. So if you get that clearly, here we are completing the pattern, which is a bullish reversal signal. If the market shows you like it is about to do something, don't just go against it. And if you're looking for information on all of these different assets, like there is a ton of assets in the market, I agree, it's really hard to look for a lot of this. And that's why we usually do the Ask for TA, where you guys request what you want and I go through them one by one and give you the narrative what I'm looking at and what we can learn from the market. And if you are interested in some things like this in the group, you can look for the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So guys, that's it for today. If you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.